and requesting their support. Is that the confrontation really we wanted here today? No, not at all. We were therefore hoping that after extensive consultations, this council would express solidarity to Kenya and to Africa by negotiating in good faith and adopting this draft resolution. This didn't happen, as some members of this council even refused to negotiate on any single paragraph. We profoundly regret it. Our colleagues who didn't vote in favor of this draft resolution argue that the Kenyan situation, yes, you have heard it, that the Kenyan situation doesn't meet the threshold to trigger the application of Article 16 of the Rome Statute. They explained that this article shall only be applied when the investigation and prosecution could create or worsen a situation of threat to international peace and security. So I'm here just wondering, if a terrorist attack by Al-Shabaab, an Al-Qaeda-linked movement, which killed more than 70 innocent victims and wounded 200 others, does not meet the threshold, which other situation can cross that line? Which one? If a clear and present threat of terrorism against the Kenyan people, due to their determination and courageous intervention in Somalia, does not meet the threshold, what other threat can be here eligible? Are we today here in the wrong place? No. May I request that all of you remember why Article 16 was proposed here to the Rome Statute more than 10 years back? Let me repeat this question. May I request that all of you remember why Article 16 was proposed to the Rome Statute more than 10 years ago? This article was not proposed by an African state at all. It was proposed by some of the Western powers around this table to be applied for their own and sole interest. In other words, Article 16 was never meant to be used by an African state or any other developing countries. It seems to have been conceived as an additional tool for big powers to protect themselves and to protect their own. Isn't it? This is what appears today here. You will also remember that some countries that didn't vote for this draft resolution have been passed laws to refuse any cooperation with the ICC targeting their nationals, to sanction countries cooperating with the ICC in that regard, even to use military means to release their nationals who would have been arrested at the ICC request. I hope that you all agree that we are here very far from our modest request of deferral for 12 months, just 12 months. Just 12 months. In this regard, we believe that equal application of all provisions of the statute does not only strengthen the ICC, but also legitimizes it as a credible and fair player. Justice becomes so when the vulnerable and the strong have equal protection. It is unfortunate that the ICC continues to lose face and credibility in the world, the more it continues to be used as a tool for the big powers against the developing nations. Mr. President, we have always been preached of the values of democracy and self-determination. But surprisingly, those who taught us don't believe in Africa determining its fate at all. Instead, Africa is to be given a dose to swallow, as we have seen this tendency during the whole process prior to this vote, Mr. President. In the same context, African heads of state and government proposed, in their wisdom, a solution to a Kenyan solution. Yes, New York thought otherwise. No, it's a beautiful city, New York. This council decided otherwise. Western powers had indeed an alternative solution to resolve the Kenyan concerns, namely interaction with the court and with the Assembly of States parties. Is it the right place here? Yes, it is. ASP is the right place? Yes, for those who are members, it is also. We don't say that it is not, it is. But let us come here and interact also with you. Hear Africans, hear what the heads of state of Africa want. Hear what the Kenyans want. On the court, let me say that apropos precipitation, really, we have to be very careful with what you are stating here in this council. On the court, let me say that after 5 long years of procedure against Kenyan leaders, we were surprised that suddenly, the ICC was willing to show flexibility. The very day the African group of contact was interacting with this council, whose hand was behind them? Why the very day? Why to decide the very day? Yes, and this shows us that really maybe it's not the right place to be, that the Africans are not on the right place to decide this, that we belong elsewhere. But we belong also here. You have heard 2/3 of our time here in the Security Council is dedicated to Africa. And that's why the Africans came here. So how can you explain me that all of a sudden the Prosecutor General said, okay, you know what? Let me give you 4 months now. It's okay. Huh? You don't need to go and bother this exclusive club. No, get out of there. No. This cannot work like that. Are we living together in a global world? In a fraternity, really? I'm asking myself. It can't work. It can't continue like this. No. The group was also surprised to learn, actually, that members of this council were aware, because they asked us, of the decision to postpone the commencement of the case against the President of Kenya, even before the decision was actually taken. This poses serious questions on the independence of this case. Yes, you forget all this. You start to say that it's not the right place. Start to say that it's a precipitation. That is a confrontation. Come on. We don't want confrontation at all. Actually, Kenya is member of the ICC. You saw their vice president going there to I mean, how can you say that we want confrontation, that we want precipitation? Please. Anyway, as for the Assembly of States Parties, I would remind you that the ASP is only composed of states parties to the Rome Statutes. And Morocco, Togo, Rwanda, and some members of this council are not parties to this statute and could not participate in the deliberations of the Rome Statute discussion. I refer here for what His Excellency the Ambassador of Russian Federation was telling us that day. So while welcoming any amendment that could enhance respect for African leaders, the issue at hand is not simply a legal matter, but it is an issue related to international peace and security, ladies and gentlemen. And the Security Council should not abdicate its responsibility in that matter. So, Mr. President, in conclusion, one of the positive outcomes of this process which led to a vote this morning is the reaffirmation of the African unity and solidarity. You could see today we have the President of the African Union, presented by Ethiopia, whom I recognized, and the concerned country, Kenya. So I therefore thank all African members as well as their friends. And I hope that we'll continue to fight for our rights, for the eco-sovereignty of states, and to advance the agenda of mutual respect among nations. There is something very special in Rwanda, in our culture, we call agaciro, our dignity. Today, it was a great rendezvous of agaciro, of our dignity, of the African dignity. I thank you very much, Mr. President.
感谢卢旺达代表的发言。我现在以中国代表的身份发言。中国代表团